Hello and welcome to this free online workshop where we're going to make this funny tree ornament with a circular knitting machine with 22 needles. This is one of a series of more and you will find this at my playlists Circular Knitting Machine Christmas Countdown. I'm Dutch, so excuse me for my language mistakes. If you have seen my video how to knit perfect with your circular knitting machine, you are able to knit this in real time with this video. If I go too fast, use the pause button. And very important disclaimer, this is not a toy. Don't give it to small children. Keep out of reach of small children. You can stuff them with catnip and let your cat play with it. But don't hang it in the tree when it's stuffed with catnip, because that will be disastrous. Okay, what do we need? We need a circular knitting machine with 22 needles. They're all the same, so use whatever you have. Then we need, of course, yarn. You need yarn in a skin color you want. You need red yarn. You need white yarn. And that's the yarn you need. We have to make a pom-pom. You can use a small pom-pom maker, but you can also use a fork when you don't have a pom-pom maker. You use a fork, and I will show you right after this how to make a pom-pom with a fork. So just keep watching. Then we need, of course, sharp scissors, real sharp scissors. Needles, I use a lot of them because I lose them all the time. These are 7 centimeter plastic needles and they fit perfect between the machine things for casting off. Optional, you can use these things. I use safety eyes, but you don't have to use them. You can also stitch eyes on the ball. And of course stuffing. This is stuffing from an IKEA head pillow. It's very cheap and good stuffing. Now that's it, I guess. Let's start. Have fun. How to make a pom-pom with a fork. You need a fork with 4 teeth. And you need yarn and a scissor. First you cut a piece of yarn twice the size of your fork. About twice the size. Then you put your yarn between the second and the third tooth. I'm Dutch, I don't know. And you hang it and secure it with your fingers. Then you take your yarn. You can use 1 or 2 together pieces of yarn. And then we're gonna, I don't know what the English word, wrap it around the needle, but just as just as high as it is wide. I show you, that's better. Look, it's this wide, so it has to be this high. And then you go nice from the left to the right and from the right to the left. This is a trial and error thing. But it will work. When you think you have enough, you cut your yarn and then you take one of those 2 tails, back or front, doesn't matter, and you take it over and take it to the back or to the front, whatever you like, but so you will secure your yarn, and then you simply knot it tight as you can. And then you take your very sharp small scissors and you're gonna cut just along the fork. Be sure you got all the yarn cut through. Then you turn and do it on the other side also. I'm looking through my camera, so it's exciting to do this without cutting my fingers. Okay, I'm all the way through. And when you are, you can easily slide it off of your fork. And then you have to trim it a little bit, or not, whatever you want. You can trim it easily by just cutting off small pieces. Keep those two tails, keep them, don't cut them. Because we need them to connect the pom-pom. And so you can make pom-pom with a fork. We're gonna use it at the snowball, no, at the Santa Claus Christmas ball. We begin casting on with white yarn. We hang the tail inside the machine. We turn the handle until the odd color needle appears, and then we hook our yarn from right to left under that odd colored needle. And then we're going to turn our handle slowly and zigzag between the needles who will appear. So this first needle, the yarn is in front of the needle, and the second needle, the yarn will be behind the needle, and the third needle, the yarn will be in front, and automatically it will go under that hook. So turn and zigzag till you're all the way around. Do it a little bit loose, otherwise the first row of your knitting will go very tough and that will damage your machine. When you're at the end, you will finish with the yarn behind the last needle, and then you put your yarn in the feeder. Whatever machine you have, there is a feeder, and you put your yarn in. This one has a slide. When you have a machine with a slide like this, you can put your yarn through the little hole here, but you can also put your yarn through the hole above. I like to put it outside here, and I do the tension with the yarn between my fingers for tension. Okay, so the casting on is ready. Now we're gonna knit. We're gonna knit 23 rows, but I clear my counter, but I like to count every time this needle comes around. It's more reliable and it gives me a zen feeling. So be sure when you're knitting that each loop is down around those two pegs. Next to each needle you will find two little pegs, and the loop has to be around, and this is the yarn you just put in. When this loop is not down, you will have tucked stitches or drop stitches. You don't like that. So, and then you're gonna start to knit. See, my count is already to 2. Be aware when you're at the end of the row and the first needle, and you just started, be sure that the loops are down. At first row you won't see the loops down, because every other needle you won't see a loop down, because that's the casting on row and that's not on every needle. Okay, but we're gonna knit 23 rounds. It's not exact science. A row less or more is not a problem. It's nice for variety. So it's no exact science. It's just fun. But 23 rows wide is a guide. Oh, sorry. Okay. I knit till 24 because it skipped already a number. Then we're gonna change color. We take our little scissors. When changing color, it's important that your yarn is longer than the diameter of your machine, so that the yarn is long enough that you won't lose it. Last needle, first needle. Yarn between the last and the first needle to the inside. Then you take the color of your skin and put it into your feeder and the tail inside your machine. And be sure that both tails are between the last and the first needle, as if your yarn is just changing color. So the last needle has knit the white yarn and the first odd colored needle will knit the new color. Yes, and later on you can just knot those two together, but after a few rows, not now. Okay, then we're gonna knit 6 rounds of skin color. Be sure that the yarn is under the needle. Be sure that the loops are totally down when especially when the color change passes. It's my second round already. Third, until we have to knit 6 rounds. Again, we're going to start end at the last needle of the row. We cut our yarn long enough to reach the other side. And then we're gonna grab the white yarn again. We put the tail inside, between the last and the first needle. And then we're gonna knit only 1 row. Be sure that the loops are down. Look, my last loop is not down. Can you see that? Oh, now it is. You knit again until the last needle has arrived. You cut your yarn again, and then you take your red yarn. Be sure that the white is under the last needle, and then grab your red yarn, put it into your feeder, and let the tail also enter between the last and the first needle, so that both tails are in between them. Be sure the loops are down when knit 5 rows with red yarn. Five rows. Then we're gonna cast off do not cut the yarn until you measured the right length. And you do that by putting the yarn around your machine and a little bit more, and then you cut your yarn. That's for every machine, big or small. When the yarn fits around your machine with a little bit more, it's enough for a normal cast off. Take your yarn out of the feeder. It's under the last needle, and then knit further, but without grabbing the yarn. Be sure that all the loops are down. That's very important. And knit further until you reach, until your loose threads reach the other side. Then you're gonna knot those two colors together. You knot exactly each color change, not other combinations. You can easily see which two tails belong together, and you knot them not too loose but not too tight also. You can choose to cut off a little bit of all those hanging tails. This is your working yarn. I prefer to turn until the last stitch is around here. I call it 10, before 10 o'clock. Take the yarn and put it into your needle, into your yarn needle. And then we're gonna cast off. This is my last knitted stitch, this one. So this is the first one I'm gonna pick up with my needle. Don't pull up, keep it down and just pull through slowly your yarn. That's the first one, and then it will come off those two pegs. The second one, also careful. The third one, I'm gonna turn a little bit further. Keep in mind that you also watch the stitches down here, that they are completely down around those two red pegs, especially the last one. And then I'm gonna pick up the rest. When you took off a few stitches, you can do more in a row because the tension is gone then. And why do I turn it like this? Because it's more ergonomic to do it like this. When I do it like that, it's not ergonomic. So, and I do this a lot. So, and then the knitting is finished. Did I skip one? Yes, I skipped 2 stitches. That's strange. Okay, I saved them. So now we're gonna close our work by pulling on the tail, but pull it clockwise, not against clockwise, but clockwise. Do that on both ends. Then we're gonna close both ends. I close it with only 1 stitch, and then I make a loop around my needle. Pull the yarn so that the loop will be a little knot, and then I push and pull my needle through the loop around. And then it's secured. I do that also on the other side. Then we're gonna take the white part and put it inside with the tail through the little hole from closing to the other side through the little hole there. And tie them together. Be sure that it's all the way up to this side. Pull a little bit and then knot them together. Then we take one of our fluffy pom-poms. And take one of those tails and stitch it through both layers to the inside. Do that also with the other one. Be aware that you take the right one. And also on another spot, take it to the inside. And on the inside, you knot those two together again. I like to knot things together. And then the pom-pom is on his place. Then we're gonna form it a little. This is his beard. It's nice and even, a little bit or not. It's handcraft. It's not important. Then you take your safety eyes if you want to use them. When you embroidery, you can better wait until your ball is finished. And then you're gonna place the eyes, the safety eyes. I do them in the middle of the face. There are no rules. This is only a guide. Just do something you like. Then you take yourself a little piece of white yarn, again, for closing up. I like to use that double, so I make it long enough to use it double. It's about 50 centimeters. I don't know, yards and stuff like that. Then you grab your ball and you're gonna take your needle and then you're gonna pick up half a stitch, skip the next half stitch, pick up the next one, skip one, next one. Be careful that you don't pull through the yarn, otherwise you could go on forever and ever. When you're all the way around, you grab your stuffing and we're gonna stuff the little ball. We're closing up later, but we're preparing the closing up. Stuffing inside. You can also put a bell in this, but don't you ever leave this Christmas ornament alone with children for playing. Did I really lose my yarn? Oh no. There it is. Right. And then you just pull the yarn, knot them again, knot them together, and then easily close the ball. Close a few knots. I cut my needle free. Then I put all the yarn inside the needle and stick it in the hole through the other side. And just take your little scissors and cut it. And it disappears inside. And then you take a little piece of skin color. Cut a little piece. Make a big hole, knot on the other side. And then I'm gonna push the yarn of the needle through the hole, the head, to the other side, to the place I would like to make a nose. And that nose is nothing more but this, and then you go again through. Oh, not too hard. So now he has a little nose. And then you just go a few times through and through. Not do not pull too hard, and be sure that you take the same place every time you come out and go back again in. And when you've done that, you can cut your yarn. And you can make a little loop by just knotting those two together. And then you can hang him in your tree. If you like this workshop, please give a thumb up. If you want to see more, join my channel and watch my playlists. There are many different tutorials coming up. So, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.